Hello and welcome to our video tutorial on compound complex sentences. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, we'll go over a definition of the compound complex sentence before we look at some different examples and work through labeling some of them together. A compound complex sentence contains two or more independent clauses and one or more subordinate clause. So essentially we're taking a compound sentence and adding a subordinate clause or more than one subordinate clause to that compound sentence. There's a visual at the bottom of the page just so you can kind of get a better understanding of that as well. I always suggest copying down the definition into your notes or something that will make more sense to you. If you prefer the visual definition at the bottom, go ahead and copy that. So before we get started, let's do a quick review of compound sentences and complex sentences or subordinate clauses. Okay, so hopefully you remember we've been focusing on compound sentences as part of this unit as well, that a compound sentence contains two or more independent clauses. And while there are a variety of different ways to join compound sentences, at the middle school level where we're studying right now, we have really focused on these three types down here at the bottom. Using a comma in a coordinating conjunction, using a semicolon, or using a semicolon conjunctive adverb followed by a comma. Again, a good English teacher will show you some other ways as well, but for the purposes of this particular tutorial, we're just going to use those three types. And then, of course, a complex sentence must contain a subordinate clause, and we've spent a lot of time focusing on adjective, adverb, and noun clauses as part of this unit as well. So when we're looking at subordinate clauses in sentences, you should be able to identify adjective clauses, adverb clauses, and noun clauses. If those are difficult for you, I'd suggest maybe taking a look at some of the other tutorials I've got posted, or do some review online, or look at some other great videos that are on YouTube, because that's an important part of complex and compound complex sentences. So what will these sentences look like? I've given you two examples here on the screen of compound complex sentences, just so you can see kind of how they're put together, how they're coordinated, all right? Cork trees require 20 years of care before they may be stripped of their bark, but then they may yield another harvest in only 8 years. We want to pay attention to there is an independent clause here, an independent clause here. Both independent clauses contain subjects and verbs. And then, of course, we have the subordinate clause here, also having a subject and a verb. And then this is how we're using the coordinating conjunction after the comma. In the second one, Mr. Angel has already explained how to identify subordinate clauses in sentence. Therefore, it should be easy to study complex sentences. Again, we've got an independent clause here, an independent clause here. We've got our subordinate clause there. So that's basically what they're going to look like in a sentence. On the next slide, we'll go ahead and look at some specific examples, and we will be labeling those together. Alright, we're going to look at three different examples today as we practice labeling the compound complex sentences. I'm going to go in the order that works best for me, but knowing that these are going to be compound complex sentences, this order will work pretty well for you as well. Take a minute to copy down these three sentences, and I'll be waiting here when you're done. Alright, let's get started with sentence A. After the concrete is poured, you must not step on the sidewalk until it has dried, or the finish will be ruined. Right away, I should notice that I have one of my three ways to join a compound sentence here with my comma and conjunction, so that's going to indicate that I have a compound element in my sentence. The next thing I'm going to be looking for is probably going to be the complex element, or looking at the compound element, looking for subjects and verbs. For me, my eyes are automatically going to see this word after here, which is a subordinating conjunction, indicating that it's an adverb clause. So the subject there is going to be concrete. The verb there is going to be is poured. I also see this word until here, which is also a subordinating conjunction, again indicating that I've got an adverb clause there. So I have my subject there and my verb. Until it has dried is one subordinate clause. After the concrete is poured is another subordinate clause. And on both sides of this conjunction right here, I should have a subject and a verb. Here I have you must step, and I have finished will be ruined. I have a compound sentence combined with two subordinate clauses. That's a compound complex sentence. In sentence B, even scientists cannot always agree. There will be some who maintain different views. Again, I see my semicolon here, which indicates a compound sentence. I'm sort of always looking to see if I have subordinate clauses, looking at relative pronouns, relative adverbs, and subordinating conjunctions. Here I see a relative pronoun, which indicates this is my adjective clause. There's a subject there, there's a verb there. And then this indicates compound sentence, so both sides of that should have a subject and verb. Scientists and can agree there. And then some will be. That's my subject and verb there. So again, two independent clauses joined with one subordinate clause equals a compound complex sentence. And finally, sentence C, when the news first broke, everyone was surprised. However, today, no one is concerned. My final way that I can join a compound complex sentence, I've got my semicolon here, I've got my transition word conjunctive adverb followed by a comma there. That indicates that I've got two independent clauses. Generally speaking, my eyes should be looking for relative pronouns, relative adverbs, subordinating conjunctions. When is a subordinating conjunction indicating that this here is an adverb clause. Again, here's my subject, here's my verb. And because I've got this element here, there is a compound sentence indicating independent clauses on both sides of the word however. Here's my subject, here's my verb, here is my subject, here is my verb. Again, two independent clauses being joined with a subordinate clause. I've got three examples then of compound complex sentences. The next thing I'm going to do is throw you a couple examples from literature for you to go ahead and label or try and identify, and then I'll show you the answers. Alright, here we go. Your turn. Here are three sentences, one from Okay for Now, one from In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, and one from Catching Fire. So you can practice with these, and I will show you the answers when you're finished. Alright, congratulations on trying it for yourself. Here's what I came up with. Remember, sentences A, B, and C, all of them should have a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon. They should all have at least two independent clauses. And they should also have at least one subordinate clause. So that's it for today. If you've got any questions, stay tuned. Otherwise, I will see you in class tomorrow.